Welcome to Get Your FRQ On. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use your graphing calculator to identify zeros of polynomials, or at least the real zeros of polynomials. So here I've got the graph of a polynomial function. I have it pre-programmed. I'm not going to show you what it is because I have it in factored form, and if you see it in factored form, it's going to be super obvious, or at least it should be, what the zeros of this polynomial actually are. But here I've got this graph. And I can kind of tell there's a 0 just to the left of x equals 0, something between 1 and 2, and something between 3 and 4. It's not really on the line, so I don't really know what those are, but I can use my calculator to identify what those are. And the first thing I'm going to do is, now that I have this graph, I'm going to go back up to my Calculate menu, which is a second feature on this calculator. So I have to go to Second, Trace. And then notice the second option here is to locate a 0. And again, I have to use a left bound, and I'm going to have to enter a right bound. And the reason is polynomial functions could have lots of zeros, so you kind of do need to be specific. I'll choose this as my left bound. This is my right bound, and you'll notice that there is an x-intercept somewhere in between those. It locates it, it's at negative 0.25, so one of the zeros of this polynomial is negative 1/4. And you can kind of see the function up here already, so if you know how the x-intercepts get turned into factors of a polynomial, you can tell what the zeros will be. Kind of hoping that wouldn't happen, but it did. And I can find the other ones. I just changed my intervals. So if I go back to second calculate 0, I'll just change this one, make that my left endpoint, make this my right endpoint, find the 0 in between. The 0 is 1.5. And that's why you have to sort of define what interval you want the calculator to look for a 0 on, because polynomials could have multiple zeros, and so you have to be specific, right? If you have too big of an interval and there's more than one 0 in there, it might find you 1 just because it's like, well, this is the first one I found, so here you go. But it might not find all of them on that interval. So be very careful when you choose these bounds. Try to locate an interval that would just include one 0, so that that's the one that you